dogs are attacking a person. He is unconscious and bleeding.
It was in this Brooklyn Center backyard.
And he just kept screaming, and his voice just got lower and lower. And I'm like, are you okay? But he couldn't hear me.
Where emergency crews responded to a report of 4 pit bulls attacking a man at around 12:45 Thursday afternoon.
I really didn't know what was going on. I can't believe that happened.
When police arrived, they fired less lethal rounds, hitting one dog and clearing the other ones off the man, who had extensive bites on his body and his clothing was ripped off.
The male is conscious but can barely crawl towards them.
Family says 22-year-old Desmond Thomas Trawick was the one dog sitting for the day. He was taken to the hospital but later died from his injuries.
Surprisingly, shockingly, so sad. I mean, I felt so sad last night for them, not even knowing what had happened.
Now, I did have a chance to speak with the victim's mother off camera. She says her son Desmond used to go to Brooklyn Center High School. She also tells me that the dogs who were here that did this were only there for the day, and someone else in the family owns them.
I happened to work from home yesterday, so I kind of saw everything.
Lisa Yang lives next door, but felt helpless.
My daughter was like, don't go out there, Mom. What if you die? I'm like, I'll be fine, but I couldn't do anything if I saw the dog.
Authorities removed the dogs from the home and put them in quarantine while a dangerous animal investigation is underway. With the sudden loss of Desmond, neighbors are hurting for his loved ones.
It's heartbreaking.
I'm very shocked that the dog would attack, the family. I'm really sorry.
I've been messed up all day today.
Jerry Nelson says he was firing up his grill early Thursday afternoon when he saw his neighbor throwing a tennis ball to 4 pit bulls in his backyard. Then something went terribly wrong.
I thought they were playing, jumping on him. And I was like, hey, you need help? And then he looked at me, he's like, fighting them off. He's like, kind of hesitated. But then the guy really serious. He's like, yeah, can you come here? Can you come help me?
Nelson says he called 911 as the dogs continued to attack 22-year-old Desmond Trawick, who family members say was watching the dogs for his older brother, who doesn't live at the house. Nelson says he threw rocks and sticks at the canines to no avail.
I mean, those are big, giant dogs, and I couldn't get them off of him.
Brooklyn Center police say one of their officers shot one of the dogs with a less lethal round, causing all the dogs to go back into the house. Police say Trawick had extensive bites all over his body, and most of his clothes had been ripped off. Paramedics rushed him to North Memorial, but he didn't survive his injuries.
It was horrible. I couldn't, because I never envisioned that. All I knew that he was hurt, and he needed help, and he was going to come back, but death wasn't even on my mind.
Police say the 4 pit bulls are in quarantine as they undergo a dangerous dog evaluation. But Nelson, who moved to Minnesota to escape the civil war in Liberia, says what he witnessed Thursday will be forever ingrained in his memory.
I saw that during the civil war, people shooting people, but to come here to see, pet, that's supposed to be man's best friend attacking, and yeah, it's terrible. I can't forget that.
We begin tonight with developing news out of Brooklyn Center. A man is dead after being mauled by 4 dogs in a backyard.
Officials have identified the victim as 22-year-old Desmond Trawick. Gordon Severson spoke with police and neighbors about the attack.
Brooklyn Center police say the call came in around 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon of a dog attack. When they got to the scene, they discovered it was 4 dogs who had severely injured a 22-year-old man. Police say it happened in the 5700 block of Halifax Avenue North. A neighbor called 911 after hearing a man screaming for help. When officers arrived, they found 4 American Pit Bull Terriers attacking a man in the backyard. Police say the dogs scattered after an officer shot one of them with a less lethal round. Police say the victim had, quote, most of his clothes ripped off and had extensive bites on most of his body. Police say he was rushed to North Memorial, where he died a few hours later. Police say to their knowledge, they haven't received any complaints about these dogs. But a few neighbors tell KARE 11 News that the dogs made them feel uncomfortable, with one woman saying she would keep her kids in the house whenever the dogs were outside. Police say the dogs are being quarantined at a facility in Maple Grove called PUPS, which stands for Pets Under Police Security. The 4 dogs will each go through an evaluation to determine what should happen to them. I did ask police whether charges will be filed against anyone in this case. They say no charges have been filed yet, but they are investigating to see if charges are appropriate in this case. In Brooklyn Center, Gordon Severson, KARE 11 News.
A man mauled by 4 dogs has died. He's been identified as 22-year-old Desmond Trawick. He was attacked in the backyard of his home in Brooklyn Center yesterday. WCCO's Jennifer Merrily has the latest on what we've learned.
Neighbors tell us they heard screams for help coming from this home on Halifax Avenue North on Thursday afternoon. Police say when they arrived, 4 pit bulls were attacking a man in the backyard. Officers struck one of the dogs with a less lethal round, and the dogs dispersed and went inside. But by that time, we're told the man had extensive bites on most of his body, and it was too much for him to survive. He died at the hospital. We're told the pit bulls did not live at the home, and the victim was watching the dogs. They're now in quarantine during a dangerous dog process and investigation. In Brooklyn Center, Jennifer Merrily, WCCO News.
The Minnesota Department of Health keeps track of deaths due to dog bites. Over the last 20 years, 5 people have died after a dog attack. The last one was in 2021.